Hall of Fame writer, broadcaster John Frenzy with us. I just want to read the bio of our next guest, Mike Pinball Clemons, the general manager of the Toronto Argonauts. Some in the business world call it a CV. I don't even know what that stands for. Resume. 6-time Grey Cup champion. Did you know that, Frenzy?
No, I sure didn't.
Was in the National Football League with the Kansas City Chiefs and Tampa Bay Buccaneers before coming north to the CFL in 1989, where he spent until 2000. Was a 3-time divisional All-Star, 2-time All-Canadian. Bob Obilovich, I believe, gave him the nickname Pinball. We got to ask him about that. And went from being a player to a coach within the span of a week. We're going to ask him about that. Tom Pate Memorial Award for Community Man of the Year, CFL Most Outstanding Player in 1990. The list is endless. His number 31 retired by the Toronto Argonauts, went into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame in 2008. So, we're deeply honored to have Pinball with us on video chat this morning. There he is. Now, Pinner, is that your home or your office with that beautiful Argos logo on the ceiling there?
The Argos logo isn't on the ceiling, but it is firmly implanted on the chest here. This is my home, yes.
How you doing, Pinner?
You know what? Doing wonderful, thank you. How are you?
Oh, we're good out here. We're getting ready for some football. And let me ask you this. What's it been? 6-7 months on the job for you? Pandemic aside, how's it been?
You know what? It's been steady for us. We've got a lot of work to do, as referenced by our record the last couple of years, and we feel that we have done much of that work for this coming season, and so we're looking forward to being able at some point to get out on the field and get a little bit more balancing act of where we are. You always feel a little bit better about the work you've done than your record usually indicates ultimately when you're in this phase and a building phase of things. So we are excited about things as they go, though, and we also, though, want to really thank all of the first responders and the people who are out there on the front lines who are doing so much great work for us to be able to get back to a position to be able to play.
Pinner, there's a lot of questions are coming in from the viewers, so I'm going to get to those in a minute. Obviously, I've got a few. I've been beating the drum for years that you should have a significant role with the Argos, but I also knew you were doing just fine in your other roles. So when this came up in January, was it a hard sell for you to take this GM role or not? I never asked you how it came about.
Well, it was a difficult thing. I was asked about it originally last, I believe it was July, and I said no. Again in September, I said no again. And then finally took the position in October. I really enjoy and admire all the work our legendary Jim Pop, our GM, had done, and so really appreciated him. And so this was a difficult thing for that, if no other reason. But as well, you know, we had a very full life, and things were going very well. I had started coaching unexpectedly, and I said that I wasn't going to do it forever because I have witnessed many coaches who are father figures to their players but don't know their own kids, and it can be all encompassing. We love it and we're passionate about it and all of those things, but those things can be dangers as well. And so with 3 girls in our house, I stopped coaching when my oldest daughter started high school, and I became the GM when my youngest daughter actually finishes high school this year. So we got at least the girls all through school, and the older 2 are finished university now. So we're very lucky and grateful just to have a wonderful family, and football is my extended family.
Well, here's the thing, Michael, that I don't think people would understand. They see you from afar, but they don't realize you've been counted out, discounted your whole life, all because of your size, of course. But here now, this is the question I'm dying to ask you. because some of the football guys are saying, he's never been a GM, he's never been a scout, he can't do this. And I'm like, I would think that's music to Pinball's ears, the challenge of this. Your thoughts on that?
I would say very simply that they're right? And I don't have, any real rebuttal there. So for me, if you're the smartest guy in the room, it's your own fault. As a coach, I think we went to the division final 6 consecutive times, and I think the longest streak that the Argos have had in going to the division final in the modern era, and it wasn't because of me. It was because we had good people around us, and I am. If nothing else, I understand my own insignificance. And so I understand how important I'm not. And so this is not about me. It's about us as the Argos, as a team, and building bridges, not fences. And so a big bridge was developing that team around me, which starts with our director of player personnel, John Murphy, and then going on and having the opportunity to add Ryan Dinwiddie as our new head coach, and then the staff that he's put together of veterans that have just so much talent laid in there. And then as we begin to build the team, it all has to come together. When we went to those 6 straight division finals, and I was the first person of color to win the Grey Cup, it wasn't because of Michael Clemons or Pinball. It was because we had a great team of players, coaches, and staff around us, and that's the same thing we plan on doing here.
Of course, Pinball, but my thing on that, now, maybe you've never done this before, but what I say to them is Pinball has been a success at every single thing he's ever done. And I called your very last game. It was Riders at Skydome, which I think the farewell ceremony to you just wrapped up. And you went to coaching. Do you remember that? And you went to coaching the next week, and you got the team in the playoffs. I mean, if you can do that, I would think you could do this. And plus, you mentioned Murph, who I have all the time in the world for. So it is a great team that you've assembled out there. But you mentioned Dinwiddie. Love dinner, too.
Yeah.
And here's the football people. He's not ready. He's taking too much credit for Bo Levi. And I'm like, if not now for Ryan, when? Like, he's going to be a head coach. I think you kind of got to know him to realize he is ready for this.
You do, and I have to say, there's from when we hired him as a coach till now, there are so many layers that I've get. The best people I've ever been around, you continue to learn different things about them. Oh, I didn't know you could do this. I didn't know you were qualified here. His understanding of personnel, the level of detail that he exercises, and knowing and understanding the different guys who are coming into the league. For example, as it relates to our Canadian draft, he's not just concerned with the team that he's putting on the field. He's very learned. He is also he has that unique ability to be both a leader and a friend. Some people are challenged by that. They can only do one or the other. But he can be a friend and casual, and 3 minutes later he can say, "Let's get to work," right? And people can respect that. So we're understanding that this is his first year. We are in a building phase, and we do believe that he will make some mistakes, but we also believe that he has the ability to become one of the best head coaches in this league. And when that happens, he's still going to be making mistakes. That's just a part of the process there. So we couldn't be more excited about our team. And as you referenced in terms of my own experience here, I don't think people remember necessarily the fact that I was a de facto GM in 2003 when I had when we were under receivership. We end up, a lot of the hard work had been done already to that point, but we had to engineer, and we actually end up coming one play away from the Grey Cup in 2003 before we won it in 2004, and we had a makeshift staff where we had to let go. Our GM, so it was a challenge. Let's just say that, and so you do have some experience in terms of constructing a team, how it's constructed, and those kinds of things. But in no right do I want to suggest at all that I have the necessary experience. What I am pretty good at, though, is in understanding how important I'm not, and making sure around ourselves to get the job done.
Thanks very much. Pinball John Lynch here. Just wondering about the fans in Toronto now. It's been hard to get them to come to the games. I know a lot of them that I've talked to are very enthused about you coming back to the sidelines. So what's the situation? How's it been so far?
John, we've had a great, just a real great reception. People have been very kind and generous, and I want to thank you, though, specifically. You are the reason. You and so many other great Canadians like you are the ones who exhibit that passion. And specifically in Toronto, it's not easy to be a Toronto Argonaut fan in many instances. And so when you have Argo fans in Toronto, they hear all the different things that are said, and when you have an Argo fan and a Canadian Football League fan in Toronto, they are ardent. They have heard all the things. In many ways, it's easier to be a Canadian Football League fan and a fan of your team in some of our other markets. Here, it's not the easiest thing. We have some of the most dedicated fans, and we're so grateful. We also have some work to do, though, and we need to understand that as well, that we need to be more attractive to a younger audience. We need to start earlier, and football needs to be cool again to young people who are in grade school, in high school, in university, and the like. So we have some work to do in that construct, and we embrace that. But we believe part of that is being competent, consistently competent on the field. We've won 2 Grey Cups in the last 8 years, but the reality is even those Grey Cup teams were challenged a good part of the season. We had 2 9-9 teams. The last 2 times we won the cup, our teams have been 9-9 and really come back in the second half. So I think we had 2-7. And the other start was a challenging start, maybe 3-6. So even then, there wasn't a lot of momentum in the couple of times that we've won the Grey Cup in the last 8 years. And so we've got lots of work to do, but MLSC is for me, the best possible organization that we can have in order to do that. So we don't feel like it's a mountain, but it's not a molehill either. It's somewhere in between, and MLSC helps us to cover that gap, and will do so very readily. So thank you for your support, and continue to beat the drum, because the beat is getting a little bit more consistent in this marketplace.
We have a viewer, I believe he's in the States, Tony Falcone. He has sent in a litany of personnel questions. I'm just going to ask you 2. One is, has there been a resolution to the TJ Jones case? And 2, are you still looking for players at this time?
So one, there has not been a resolution, and if there has been a resolution, it's unfavorable at this point. So there has been a tentative indication that the last proposal that's been put forward by the league has been declined by the Players Association. So from that standpoint, no, we don't have anything definitive. And are we looking for players? Our challenge here in that you always are interested in great players. That is what we do. That is who we are. Doesn't matter whether it's preseason, postseason, the off season, before a game, after a game. We're always looking for players. That is our business. But we there is a feeling that rosters may be shortened even before the season begins. So the normal 100 plus non-counters that we are able to bring in may be reduced itself. And so we already have signed more players than we may be able to bring to camp. So we aren't doing very much during this period. We're really accumulating information and trying to wait to see what we're going to be allowed to do in terms of the number of players we're going to be able to bring into camp this year.
I'm going to combine these last two, and then we're going to let you go, Pinball. One, Hank thinks players will be, Henry Burris, will be reluctant to come up here if the salaries are shortened. I don't. Henry would know better. He was an American football player, but I just think there's enough guys that want to play ball. But I think Brady Witt from Saskatoon, young kid, high school kid who's out of school because of the pandemic, Pinner, wants to know where you got the nickname Pinball. So let's end with that because it's a wonderful story.
All right. Awesome. I went for 24 years without a nickname. Everybody tried to give me a nickname. Dynamite was something that they sort of put in the newspaper one time, but nothing ever stuck. And I was here one week, and the coach says, we had a goal line scrimmage, and so they had the first defense, and so I was one of the rookies. So we're out there as fresh meat for the first defense, and so we went out there, and just as supposed to happen, as soon as I touched the ball, I got hit. But I didn't fall down. I ran around the end and I scored. And this is usually a good thing. But the head coach isn't concerned about, this little guy here or the offense. He's concerned about his first defense. And so like any coach in North America, he says, do it again. And so we did it again. And this time, as soon as I got the ball, the defender almost got to the ball before the quarterback he almost beat the quarterback to me. And so as soon as I actually got it, it got hit. And I bounced off and I ran around the other end and I scored again. He said, hey, little guy, get out of my drill. And I never had to run the scout team again since then. And he made the statement to the media that we have this new guy that bounces around like a pinball. And it stuck. And
it was Obi, right? Was it not Obi?
Obilovich, yes. Whose favorite saying is better's better. Yes.
That's right. Oh, I thought Bob Vespaziani came up with that. He stole it from Obi. Yeah, that makes sense. Better is better. That's what Bobby V used to always say. Pinball, thanks for the time. Yes. So great to see your face again. And here's hoping you're on the boys are on the field sooner than later.
Great to see you.
All right.
Again.
Thanks so much. Thank you, John.
There you go, the great Michael Pinball Clemons, Hall of Famer, and it's about time he's involved with the Argos in a significant way.
No question about it. How about that interview, eh?
You're watching Rod Pedersen on demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.